What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Wednesday, February 14th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 12-game NBA slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So I like Devin Vassell from the San Antonio Spurs playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have the 9th worst defense overall, give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Devin Vassell averaging 32.2 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 31.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. He's 6,600 DraftKings salary, 800 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 240 points scored in this game. So you got a high scoring game and a good matchup. And Devin Vassell has scored 42, 33, and 43 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 27, 34, and 35 minutes. So I like Devin Vassell here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. So I'm going to give you a stud pick here. I like Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Washington Wizards, who have the absolute worst defense overall. They give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Brandon Ingram averaging 38.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. He's projected at 40.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's 8,100 DraftKings salary, 200 more on FanDuel. So I like that price on both sites. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 234 points scored in this game. Brandon Ingram has scored 30, 37, and 46 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 36, 36, and 34 minutes. So monster minutes, fantastic matchup. And Brandon Ingram has scored 49, 35, 39, and 44 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Wizards. So I like Brandon Ingram here versus the Washington Wizards. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. So I like Keldon Johnson from the San Antonio Spurs playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have the 9th worst defense overall, give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Keldon Johnson averaging 31 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. Now he's projected at 31.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.8 times the value. Only 5,400 DraftKings salary, 1,000 more on FanDuel. We know Vegas thinks there's going to be a high-scoring game. 240 points scored in this game. Keldon Johnson has scored 34, 28, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 29, and 24 minutes. I also like this pick because Keldon Johnson scored 25, 38, 41, and 42 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Mavericks. So I like Keldon Johnson here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, who do we have at the power forward position? So here's a value play. Could be a sleeper pick here tonight. Actually, his ownership is probably going to be way up there. I like Herbert Jones from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Washington Wizards, who have the absolute worst defense overall, give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Herbert Jones averaging 23.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. Now, he's only projected at 23.1 fantasy points here tonight, and that's just about 5 times value. His $4,700 DraftKings salary, $1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 234.5 points scored in this game. And Herbert Jones has been on fire, scoring 40, 33, and 21 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 35, 37, and 28 minutes. So I like Herbert Jones here versus the Washington Wizards. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position, I like Miles Turner from the Indiana Pacers playing the Toronto Raptors, who have the 8th worst defense overall, give up the 12th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Miles Turner averaging 32.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 27 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. He's projected at 32.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5 times value. He's $6,400 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 243 points scored in this game. Miles Turner has scored 38, 41, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 31, 30, and 22 minutes. He's also scored 33, 30, 38, and 38 fantasy points in his last 4 games versus the Raptors. So I like Miles Turner here versus the Toronto Raptors. Another center that I like here is Daniel Gafford from the Dallas Mavericks playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing centers. Daniel Gafford averaging 29.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 26 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. He's projected at 27.1 fantasy points here tonight. Now that's only 4.4 times value. He's $6,100 DraftKings salary, $1,000 more on FanDuel. We know Vegas thinks there's going to be 240 points scored in this game, and this pick stuck out to me because Daniel Gafford has scored 55, 32, and 41 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 24, 17, and 35 minutes. So his minutes have been all over the place, but the last 2 games he had 26 and 33% usage rate. So all of a sudden, usage rate through the roof. If he can play 30 minutes here tonight, who knows what he can do in this matchup. So I like Daniel Gafford, who scored 42 fantasy points in his last game here versus the San Antonio Spurs. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.